Good evening, everyone. I call to order the June 24th, 2019 meeting of the Victoria City Council. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Feedback. Announcements. Council? Dana? What is? Okay, thank you. No announcements? Okay, open forum. Okay, this is...
A little loud.
We'll try that. Can you hear me? Okay, open forum. I don't have any slips. Is there anybody that would like to address the council? Going once, twice, moving on. Can I have a motion on the agenda, please? A motion and a second?
I'll make a motion we adopt the agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion? Council, Dana, any changes? No? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The agenda is adopted. Consent agenda. Can I have a motion and a second?
I make a motion that we adopt the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion?
I'll make a motion, or I'd like to request that item 6G be pulled.
6G. Okay, 6G. Council, anything else? No? Dana, anything?
None from staff.
Public, anybody? Okay. I move we modify the motion to adopt the amended consent agenda, omitting item 6G. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The amended consent agenda is adopted. Mr. Vogt, item G, go ahead.
Just some points of clarification. We're going to pursue the Livable Communities grant. As I understand it, there's quite a bit of information required by August 1st and then by August 8th, including specific design detail. And also I had thought that we needed a signed development agreement in that request. So I guess I want some discussion so we all understand how we're going to do this, meet the deadlines, and we're just starting our discussions with the Clark people. So I'd like to understand exactly how that's going to work in terms of putting together everything that's required for the Livable Communities grant and still be able to have meet those deadlines in light of the fact that we're talking to new companies.
So, Mayor, members of the City Council, the July 1st deadline is for concept plan. We don't have to have a development agreement in place when we submit for the concept plan. What that basically is like a preliminary review for the city, for the Met Council to see if they have any comments on your grant proposal. The August 8th deadline, that is the deadline that we should try to get a development agreement in place. Again, the development agreement isn't required, but it's one of those things out of the 14 criteria that we'll get points for if we do have a development agreement in place. So that is our goal, is by August 8th.
So, but we're going to have a 60-day agreement with Clark Companies, which will take us to the end of August before we'll know exactly what we're going to agree on. Or potentially it'll take us to the end of August. So how's that August 8th fit in with what we know we still have to do?
So the 2 months was just being conservative. We didn't want to stop it right at August 8th, but the Ron Clark and the city's goal is to get a development agreement in place before August 8th. And one of the things that I think Dana will probably be emailing the council on is what are some some dates that a council is available in case we need a special meeting before that August 8th deadline if we have a development agreement that's close that we can get to the council for approval. But that's our Ron Clark's and our goal is to get it before August 8th.
So let me jump in here for a second. Mr. Wolf, we're actually going to be discussing this as the first agenda item, the development agreement, Clark. So if you've gotten the answers you want for item 6G in the consent agenda, let's get that approved and we can move.
Mayor, members of the council, I just want to add a couple more things, if you don't mind. Thank you. So, Councilmember Vogt, to your question about are we prepared to do it, and I think Pat answered this accurately. I think it's also important to note that we've been working on that grant application, and we have a draft narrative in place. We've been working with Dean DeVolis with DJR Architecture in developing that draft. We have received concept plans from the architectural firm. We've looked at, 4 different, so we've got the site plan concept and then 4 other additional concepts. So work has been done. The heavy lifting, we're well underway with that. And from a staff perspective, we're feeling really good about where we're at in terms of meeting that deadline. And I think that our target was to get something, a finalized draft for staff and Dean's team to look at by Wednesday of this week. The other thing that I want to point out, and Mike is here from, and we'll hear from him speak from Ron Clark Development, and also have experience working with LCDA grant applications and through that grant process, and have been successful recipients on previous projects that they've worked on in achieving a grant award for the LCDA. So there may be something that he can speak to at some point if council has any other additional questions. But everybody is working in concert for that July 1st date as well as that August 8th date.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to understand that how this was going to work, because I know this discussion dovetails with the agenda item coming up, but I specifically wanted to understand how the development agreement could get into the deadline, and so you feel confident that that's going to happen?
Yes, that's
Because we couldn't. I don't think we could afford to lose those points or whatever part weighting they have in their point system by not having the development agreement. I would think that would be very negative for us.
Right. This grant is staff's #1 priority for the next month.
Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Good.
Can I get a motion and a second to approve item 6G?
I make a motion to approve item 6G, the entering into the Livable Communities Grant.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next item, 7A, regular agenda. Mr. Pat, this is for you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Just for the public's information, the 13.5 acre site that the city owns is located in the northeast corner of Highway 5 and County Road 11 on the map in front of you. Since 2006, the city has tried different approaches to develop this site, and all of the developers that we've worked with have fallen off for various reasons, but the #1 reason is that they would bring to the city council an idea, a vision that really didn't meet the vision of the city council or the city. So in 2016, the city council hired Hoyson and Kogler to draft a downtown master plan. Part of that downtown master plan not only covered the downtown, but also covered this downtown west area. In the downtown west area, the map in front of you shows that the downtown west was supposed to be a mixed neighborhood. So it would have office, commercial, high-density residential, and medium-density residential. In November 13th, 2018, Dean DeVolis from DJ Architect presented this vision to the City Council. And it was, again, a mix of uses, potentially grocery store, high-density residential, medium-density residential, and then commercial on the main floor that could be would start at residential and then could be converted to commercial as the market sees fit. In November 26, 2018, the City Council approved a preliminary development agreement with DJ Architect, gave the developer 4 months to come back with some feasibility studies. On March 12th of this year, the Planning Commission reviewed this concept plan to see if it was consistent with the comprehensive plan and the downtown master plan. The Planning Commission thought it was consistent with the downtown master plan with some few tweaks. Those tweaks are listed in the staff report. On April 8th of this year, the City Council discussed this concept plan, and to make sure that the development was successful, staff presented some vision statements for the council to react to, because it would help the staff to know what the vision of the council is, just to reassure us that when we went out to seek developers, we were on the same page as the City Council. Some of those ideas are that this area is going to be an organic neighborhood that will grow over time. Downtown West is a complete neighborhood with a full range of activities, amenities, and employment opportunities. Downtown West is an active neighborhood that will support local businesses. Downtown West will have a strong connection to downtown. The buildings would be designed so that the first floor could be residential at first, but then be converted to commercial as the market demand changes. And then lastly, Downtown West has a variety of housing types, meaning townhomes, apartment, and then senior living, but the market rate apartment would be the primary use. The preliminary development agreement that is in front of you gives the developer 2 months to look at their studies, their financial studies, and look at their development plans, make sure that the senior housing development is feasible. The senior housing they anticipate would be between 60 to 70 units. They don't know at this time if it's going to be 20% affordable or if it's going to be 100% affordable, but over the next month or two, they're going to try to figure out what makes it financially feasible. And the financial piece is what's going to drive it if it's 20% affordable or 100% affordable. The senior housing is going to be active seniors, so 55 and over, but it wouldn't have any services. So that, again, supports that vision that the City Council discussed back in April. The preliminary development agreement requires the applicant to reimburse the city for all legal and financial review during this review period. Again, that we talked about earlier, the goal is to get a development agreement with Ron Clark before the August 8th Livable Communities Development Grant deadline. And again, if we have to have a special meeting, we will, but that's the goal of Ron Clark and ourselves. Mike Waldo from Ron Clark Construction is here to ask any questions. And our staff's recommendation is that the City Council make a motion to approve the preliminary development agreement with Ron Clark Construction and Design. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Can you go back to the map for a second, please? Ron Clark Construction is only looking at a couple of the components in here, correct?
That is correct.
So does the agreement mean that we can't talk to other developers who are interested in other parts of this area?
That's a very good question. No, the development agreement only covers the senior housing component and the townhomes. So the senior housing component would be either one of these two buildings that are closer to the grocery store. We haven't figured that out yet. Part of that next month we'll refine it with Dean Volos, the architect. The two apartment buildings on either side of that green space we've always dedicated that more for the market rate apartment buildings. And then the other portion that the Ron Clark would be looking at is the townhomes, the 30-unit townhomes.
But so we could still continue discussions with the other developers that have been speaking to the city about the other elements there, plus the CDA, plus like the Leitner property. All
Correct.
of those, we can still continue discussions.
And we are in discussions with market rate apartment developers. Again, our goal is to get a market rate apartment developer on board before the August 8th deadline, grant deadline.
Got it.
And CDA would be separate from anything that Ron Clark is working on?
It could be. I've talked to the CDA before I reached out to Ron Clark, and it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. They weren't ready to submit an application, and they suggested another affordable housing developer. And so that's why when I reached out to Ron Clark after I talked to the CDA.
Okay.
Question on, so this development agreement actually leaves this concept plan intact, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Couple questions, Pat. So, as you just stated, Ron Clark would be interested in the senior housing and townhouses or that sort of thing?
Correct.
Okay. So, also by August 8th, we would find another developer that would be interested in market rate apartments and have a development agreement with that developer also by August 8th.
That's our goal. Yes.
Okay, that's our goal. That's okay. And then we look at the fact that the grant would be primarily driven to finance the stormwater ponding public square area that looks so good and is so beautiful and so unique to this project. So how have we got a framework as to how that the cost of that, do we call that a square? What are we calling this area?
The green square?
Green square?
Yes.
So the green oval?
The green oval.
So the green oval has to be financed by something. If we're fortunate, maybe the grant will help us with that. But it'll somehow, there has to be a mechanism to finance the green oval, the streets in the vicinity, and work that into our thinking. So has that mechanism been thought of exactly?
So back in 2017, a year, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
the city invested some money in doing the engineering for the entire site. And so we have a preliminary infrastructure cost of $4.5 million.
Yes.
And then now what we have to do is work with Dean, our city engineer, to figure out what the real cost of that stormwater pond that's underneath this green oval, and to update that $4.5 million that we anticipated 2 years ago. The other thing I'd like to add on, though, is, again, that this market rate apartment building, our goal is to get somebody on board before the August 8th deadline. That isn't as important as it is to have some affordable housing on board, because a livable development grant will get bonus points if we have affordable housing. And that's why that Ron Clark is important for this whole grant.
Okay. Thank you.
Council, other comments, questions? No? Can we get the resolution back up on the screen?
I make a motion to approve a preliminary development agreement with Ron Clark Construction and Design.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Round table. Dana?
Nothing from staff, Mayor.
Council?
No, sir.
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay. Reports. Dana?
Just of note for anybody who wants to see it as part of the agenda packet, we have our May sheriff report and our May fire report.
Thank you. Is that all?
That's all. Thank you.
Yep. Deb, anything?
No, sir.
Mr. Vogt?
Nothing.
Judy?
I'm good today.
Mr. Gregory?
Over and out.
I have nothing. Can I get a motion and a second for adjournment?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Boy, I hate the.